Members of the jury, may it please the court. The government set a trap and pushed Avery Bancroft into it. The plan is to catch Avery Bancroft bribing Commissioner Covington. Those were the words that undercover officer Mickey Keenan said to his informant on March 2nd of 2015. And when he said those words, that was the very first time that anyone involved in today's case had ever mentioned a bribe. Officer Keenan thought of, planned, and executed the bribe. Officer Keenan set the trap, and Officer Keenan pushed Avery Bancroft into it. Now in October of 2014, as we learned today, the Midlands Gambling Commission announced that it was going to be offering a casino license to someone who submitted a proposal. Now, as a respected businessman and casino owner, Avery Bancroft began compiling his proposal. But members of the jury, if you recall, that's not when Officer Keenan began his investigation. Officer Keenan began his investigation back in July of 2013. And in July of 2013, Officer Keenan was tasked with investigating corruption in the Midlands Gambling Commission. But there was no corruption to be found. So when the Midlands Gambling Commission made this announcement, that's when Officer Keenan saw his chance, as he told you, to catch a big fish. There's only one problem. This big fish, it wasn't biting. October of 2014 passed. He still had no evidence of a bribe. November of 2014 passed. Still no evidence of a bribe. December, January, February of 2014 and 2015 all passed, and Officer Keenan was no step closer to catching his big fish. So that's when in March of 2015, just 1 month before the Midlands Gambling Commission was set to vote on the new casino proposals, that's when Officer Keenan set his trap. On March 2nd, he recruited an informant, Corey Hyde. And that's when he told Corey Hyde about his plan to catch Avery Bancroft bribing Commissioner Covington. Avery Bancroft was his new big fish. Now, members of the jury, as my colleague explained during her opening statement, we as the defense are not disputing that a bribe took place. Avery Bancroft took the stand today and told you that himself. Instead, we're offering an affirmative defense of entrapment. And in doing so, we took on a burden of proof. Throughout today's trial, we had to prove by a preponderance of the evidence that Officer Keenan induced Avery Bancroft to commit bribery. And in doing so, we had to prove it was more likely than not that Avery Bancroft would not have committed bribery if not for Officer Keenan's involvement. And we've met that burden. And today we heard from Miss Julia Lauren, an expert in undercover investigations. And she told us how undercover investigations are supposed to work. Police officers are supposed to be an impartial third party. They're not supposed to be actively involved, actively pursuing, and actively trying to create crime. She told us that officers are supposed to be documenting every step along the way, to act as a check, to make sure that they're not creating crime, but they're catching a criminal. But we heard that's not what Officer Keenan did. And we have no documentation that says otherwise. Now, Ms. Lorian also told us that we learned how Officer Keenan began his investigation. We learned about this email that Officer Keenan received from his superior, the chief of the police department. And in this email, the chief tells them to crack down on corruption. But he does more than that. He tells them to be newsworthy and do whatever it